Hello everybody and welcome to ClausenWorld. This will be my first gardening video. I've had a number of friends who have wanted me to get online and do a gardening video. And since many of us are home during this time, I decided to go ahead and do it. Now, before I get really deep off into this, I live in the city. I have an urban garden. It's a patio garden. You will hear a lot of cars go by. You'll probably hear my neighbor's dogs. You may hear the children out in the yard playing. There's lots of kids out, as if there isn't a pandemic happening. But I digress. And so with that being said, let's get into my garden. I have a lot of stuff. I'm not a professional gardener. I don't know the names of everything, but if anyone's interested, you can ask me in the comments below, and I'll make sure that I put everything that I can remember in the comments so that you know what we're looking at. Now I'm at the back door, and before I really get started, let me show you what I have down here. I have Russian sage and primrose. I have a mum, and all of these things came back from last year. I have gladioli that came back, or gladiolas, however you pronounce it. And I do believe these are poppies. I'm not sure. I tend to put stuff everywhere, and I bought a lot of bulbs this year, and I planted them all over the place. And the reason why I have a cage around my gladioli is because I have a squirrel problem, and they dig in everything. They dig up every pot imaginable for some reason. This right here is coming back from last year. This is my very first, let's wipe that off. Maybe you guys can see it. This is my very first hibiscus. I hope you guys can see it. It's called a cherry chocolate, and it is coming back, as you can maybe see. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's coming back. I chopped it down really low, and it's coming back. What you'll find is I create my very own compost. So I have compost, I have clippings, I have junk from the vacuum cleaner inside of a lot of my pots because that stuff is compostable. I have weeds that I allow to grow because they throw up flowers and the insects like certain flowers. I have a mum on the other side over here. That's my water feature that I don't have on. This is my row of elephant ears. I have several different elephant ears in this row in these pots. They're just now waking up, so they're really very small. This came back from last year. I don't know if you can see, but I've got a little elephant ear right there. They're coming back. They're going to be much bigger as soon as they put on growth, but they're coming back from next year. Some of them aren't awake yet, but they're doing their best. Now what I found was I have this. I have no idea what this is. This could possibly be a squash that was in my compost. As you can see, I have compost on the top of this plant, and I found as I was watering a little while ago, I've got tomato plants that have popped up. Here's another one that looks like a tomato plant. There's one right in here that looks like a tomato plant. So I'm going to eventually take those out, but I'm going to let them grow a little bit, see if they'll get some height on them. I do collect rainwater. I have two. You guys probably can't see that. I have 2 rainwater barrels, and I do collect rainwater. This is a amaryllis. Yeah, this is an amaryllis bulb that my mom gave me last year. It did not like the cold. I brought it inside. It didn't like the shock. All the leaves fell off, but it's alive, so I'm hoping it's going to start doing something here soon and wake itself up. Now this is my vegetable garden. Vegetable and fruit garden is what you'll see over here. I hope you guys can see some of it at least. I have potatoes in the back. These are all potatoes here. I hope I'm not going too fast. All of this is my potato section. I have onions. I have tomatoes growing. I even have basil in that tomato bucket. I have onions in this bucket. I also have baby bok choy that's coming up in that bucket. I have beets in this bucket as well as baby bok choy. Now I'm letting some of them go to seed. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I want to collect my seeds. I watch a number of YouTube gardeners, and they've been talking about letting some of your food go to seed. And I have several baby bok choy here that are going to be going to seed. Now I'm going to be pulling some of this later on this afternoon or this evening, and I'm going to be making sauerkraut with that. But I am going to let one or two go to seed. I've already spread more seed. There are a couple of YouTubers that I watch pretty regularly, and so they've been helping me with gardening and how to garden and what I should do as far as letting things go to seed. I have some chives and onions in this bucket. I also have some Malabar spinach. I don't know if you guys can see that. This is a fruit. These are two different types of elderberry. I also have some flowers growing in there. I've got some phlox starting to come alive and grow down there. In the center, I have what I believe is a Cape Cod gooseberry. That's the seed I planted, so let's hope that's what that is. I have some kohlrabi and some carrots over in this particular bucket right here. And if you're wondering why I have tulle over some of the things that you're going to see in my garden, it's because, again, I have squirrel problems. And I don't want the squirrels or the bugs to get a hold of my very tender plants. Now this big container that you see right here that's kind of falling down because I just watered it, all of this is lemon balm. There is also some common sage in there, but I think the lemon balm is trying to cut its lifespan a little bit. So I'm going to be cutting some of this back today and drying it for later on in the year and some tea. I have some beautiful lavender back here. Let me get a little bit closer. I have some lavender that came back from last year, and as you can see, it's got some buds on it, so it's liking its life a little bit. I've taken some cuttings off of this to try to propagate it, and so far those cuttings look really good. Let's back up so that you guys can see. I have some lettuce growing in this bucket and some peas. I actually harvested some of this a little while earlier, so I'll show you what that looks like in greater detail. I have onions as well as more baby bok choy in this bucket. And I can't remember if I said it already, but some of my onions are beginning to bolt, and I'll show you what that looks like. I have a couple of onions that are beginning to bolt because the weather has been so chaotic. One day it's warm, one day it's chilly, it's cold. It was even in the 30s one day. I have another onion here that's beginning to bolt. My chives, I've had these chives for about a year. Yes, I bought these last year, and they just began to perk up and actually look like chives. They looked really pitiful the first year I bought them. They didn't even flower, but this year they look really good, and I've harvested off of those about 2 or 3 times already. Again, I have squirrels, so I try to put up barriers. But this is my laurel bay leaf tree. I have some clippings of some lavender in there. They look a little bit sad because, again, the weather has not been kind. So, but they're still hanging on. They're not dead. I have a huge bunch of onions back there. I don't know if you guys can see that. Can you guys see that? That entire pot right there, all of that is onions. And now that I peer over the top, I can see that at least 2 of them are bolting. And in front of that, this pot right here, these are 2 different types of blueberries. One of these blueberries, which is this one, is an actual true blueberry. Oh, look at that. Can you guys, hang on, can you guys see that? Is that a flower bud? I don't have my reading glasses on, so I can't see up close with the darn. I'm getting old and can't see, but I think those are flower buds coming up on that blueberry. How exciting. But this is a dark, regular, standard colored blueberry. And this one, which is covered up by these onions, I don't want to disturb it too much, but that right there, that is a blueberry, and the blueberries are not blue. It is pink. I think it's called a pink lady, and it's actually growing really well. Everything that I have as far as my fruit all of this is new to my garden. I never had fruit before, but like I mentioned, I've been watching a number of YouTubers out there, gardening YouTubers, and they've gotten me into thinking that we need to change our mindset about food. So I have fruit in my garden now, and they were all very young when I bought them. Now, this right here that I'm standing over, this is a raspberry and a blackberry. Now, this is the blackberry. I'm having some difficulty. Sorry about that, you guys. Again, I'm not a professional, so, don't judge me too harshly. This is a blackberry right here. It's put on a tremendous amount of growth since I bought it. It was a little stick, and it is not forgiving. This blackberry has thorns, and even though they're little, can you see those thorns? Those jokers are not forgiving. They will poke you. Now, right down there is a raspberry. Now, that is not your traditional raspberry. The raspberries look more like little pink. They look blush color. I don't know if you all have ever seen like a rosé. The raspberries are more of a rosé looking, and that was so little when I got it, and it's doing really, really well in that bucket. Now, I thought I had a plant coming back from last year, but all I see is what looks like, I don't know if you guys can see, I'm sorry you guys, this looks like another tomato. I had tomatoes everywhere. And this, of course, these are weeds. I can tell these are weeds. You got to get your weeds when they're little, because if you don't, they will get out of control. And so that is a dandelion, and I don't usually pull dandelions because those are good for you. The roots are very good, but the rest of these are weeds, and you just pull those out. But that looks like a tomato, and that's a surprise because I did not know that was there. I was actually going to pot up some food in that because I thought that plant had died, and since it hasn't shown itself, I was going to repurpose that pot, but we'll see here shortly. This, if you all are not familiar, is a comfrey plant, and it looks like it is getting ready to throw out some beautiful flowers. So I've got comfrey in here. I have horseradish in here. This is a horseradish leaf. These down here are horseradishes. And this came back from last year. It was a little piece of nothing that I found at the end of the season last year. And I thought, I'm going to see if I can get it to grow. So I threw it in that pot, and lo and behold, it survived the winter and it is growing. So I have horseradish in there. Cool beans. And this lovely little beauty right there, that right there looks like a squash, and I had no idea that was there until I began to start harvesting some comfrey leaves the other day. So I'm going to let that grow and see what that turns into. And this is a mum, and I don't know if you guys can see that, but that is a beautiful ladybug. I love ladybugs in the garden. Absolutely gorgeous. So that is another mum. I tend to have significant amount of mums in my garden because I think they're pretty. And I have some succulents here, different types of succulents. My mom's neighbor gave me this one, and I picked up this one again at the end of the season. It was like a couple of, maybe $1. This is a new baby that I got this year. Matter of fact, I got this last week. This is a passion flower vine. It's a crimson passion flower, and I'm gonna have to stake it up because the wind is so terrible here that it keeps blowing it down. The wind is so bad. I have tried passion flower vines for 3 seasons, and I've tried 2 different varieties, and they do not survive at the end of the season. I get terrible caterpillars that eat it down to the ground and kill it. So as I can see, there's some ants on this one. So I'm going to have to treat it because I don't want ants to take and put aphids all over everything. So I'm going to probably treat that with some neem. I don't like to spray my garden with pesticides, but I want to keep this alive because I just got this a couple of days ago, last Wednesday, I want to say. And the one thing I want to say about this is that the leaves feel furry. It's interesting. Now over here, another mum. And this is a bee balm. that came back from last year. I'm going to have to stake it up because it was laying down a little while ago as I was watering. This is yarrow. I found this beautiful crimson colored yarrow at the nursery last year, and as it ages, these beautiful crimson colors turn to a pink and then they turn to a yellow. It's a very interesting plant. It was a tiny little bitty thing when I got it. I tend to buy plants that are like $1, and here it is one season later, and it is beautiful. This is a butterfly bush. Again, I bought it last season. It was a tiny little bitty thing. It died back. I thought it was dead. As I mentioned earlier, if it looks like things are dead in my garden, I will toss it out and put something else in the pot. And as I was getting ready to do that, and it's laying over because I just watered. As I was getting ready to dig this out, it showed me that it was still alive. And it is a blooms summer and autumn butterfly flower. It's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Same thing with this one over here. This is a jasmine. I was about ready to throw this out because I'm impatient. And when I grabbed it, you guys can see jasmine. When I grabbed it to dump it out, it had one brand new beautiful little leaf on it. And I said, okay, you want to live. So you live, you stay. And this, I don't know if you guys can see this. I have two different types of grapes in here. I have a green grape and a purple grape. I think that's the right description. But I've got two grapes in there, and I'm going to try to peek over the top a little bit. And I also have right there, if you can see that little bitty stalk, that is a, what is that? That is a, oh, hardy kiwi. Almost forgot. That's a hardy kiwi. I found that at the store, and I bought one last year. Again, at the end of the season, it wasn't very good and it died. So I said, let me try it again. I was told it only needed one just to actually give fruit. So I'm just going to see how it responds. And over here, I had a lavender that died, a monster lavender that died. That's a weed. And so I reseeded this pot with some Provence lavender a couple of days ago. So nothing's popping up but some weeds in there. But I'm going to let it go just to make sure that it isn't anything that's a flower, because I used to have a huge fence of morning glories on this fence right here, and it was everywhere, cascading over on the front and the back. And sometimes I've been finding seeds. Now, I grew sunflowers from seed, and I planted a couple around the yard a couple of days ago. Some of them don't look so good, but some of them are doing all right, so I'm gonna leave them there. And here's one of my in-ground food beds. I've got peas. Actually, these are beans. These are, I think, Kentucky runner beans. One of my good friends gave me those. Looks like something is chomping on that. I'm gonna have to spray it. I need to get my reading glasses because I know I can't see anything up close. But these are beans. These are bush beans. These are purple bush beans that go all along here. I don't know if you guys can see them popping up. I'm not very good with straight lines, but I've got bush beans popping up all along here. I've got peas in here. You can see one of them right there. I've got peas. I have corn popping up. That's actually popcorn. I've got some cucumbers that I planted back here. This one was a gherkin. It doesn't look like it survived the transition in the weather. When I put it out, the weather was nice, and then now the weather's garbage. This is a real garden, guys. So you're gonna see the good, the bad, the ugly. I leave weeds in my garden because weeds are good. Weeds are survivors, and some weeds you need. And looks like this is morning glory that's coming back from last year. This is a weed, and these I pull out. Now this is a plant, and I don't know the name of it. My mom has two variations of it, and it will take over. It has beautiful little. My mom's flowers have the purple leaves, and she has a green one that's fuzzy that have pink flowers. This just has plain thin green leaves, and this flower is a beautiful blue. So that's why I leave it. I do pull it out because if I don't keep it small in small little batches, it'll just take over. So I leave a few of them, but they have beautiful blue flowers on that, and I don't know what that is. If you guys know what it is, let me know. That was in the house when I moved in. I live in a rented property. I moved for work, and so I found some nice finds here. One of them is a jasmine bush on the front of the house. But I've got some food growing in this massive mess down here as well. Over here, I put some squash. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I've got two different types of squash. And for the life of me, I can't remember what that is, but I planted something, and I don't know what that is. I have no idea. It's either food or it's flowers. I just cast some seed down here because this is a combination food and flower bed. And so we'll see what that is when it comes up. But again, I leave weeds. This is just weed that's growing. This right here, again, is a bush bean that I planted. Looks like something is eating my bush beans because I have one right here that's missing its leaves, and I have one over there that's missing its leaves. But as long as it keeps growing, I'm going to leave it. I may have to pull it out, but we'll see how it goes. I have enough bush beans down here that I think I'll be okay. And so this is just flowers. We've got some fern in there, and I don't know what else these are called. Everyone else just calls them weeds. But the insect seems to like them, so I leave them. This one, I don't know what it is, but it has a beautiful purple flower, and it comes up every spring, and again, the bugs seem to like it. Now, that's my flower pot, and I think those are bachelor buttons, but don't hold me to it. I love frogs. Frogs are amazing. It's sitting on a bucket. Now, what's in that bucket is my worm casting bin. I put an in-ground bucket in, drilled holes in it, and so that's my worm casting bin. So that is my garden. We've gone all the way around. We're on the opposite side where my potatoes are. Over here, these three black trash cans are my compost. I have completely food waste in this one. I have food and chicken manure in this one, and that's chicken manure from real chickens because a good coworker of mine, a friend of mine, has like 41 chickens, and so she oftentimes gives me manure. And this one is my very first attempt at leaf mulch. And then I have a black trash bag over there that also has leaf mulch in it. So this is my first attempt at actual composting. And so far it's working out really, really well. So this is my garden. Oh, I almost forgot. I've got a few more things over here. These are flowers as well as herbs. These are my spring daffodils, but if you look inside there, you'll see some mint. This is peppermint that's growing in this pot. This right here, my mind just went blank. I know what that is because I've got two pots, one on this side and one on the other side. It'll come to me, and then I'll yell it out. But I have two of them. I can't remember for the life of me what that plant is. My sister just told me she wanted some. So I'm gonna let you guys know what that is. I planted these from seed and they came up really, really well. Again, I just watered, so a lot of stuff is kind of laying down. But they smell absolutely amazing. And I don't remember what this is, but again, I plant stuff from bulbs, I plant things from seed, and stuff just pops up. I like surprises. Over here, this is my excess runoff bed. And I've got weeds, of course, that I need to weed out. I'll do that if I have enough time today. If not, it'll sit till tomorrow. But I planted onions and garlic here. All you see from here all the way over here, that's onions. And this little section right here, that's garlic. And believe it or not, this was a piece of orange sweet potato that my mom was going to throw in the garbage. And she's like, would you like that? And I thought, sure, why not? And so I put it in the ground, and look, that's what that is. And of course, that's a dandelion because it's good. I'm going to let that grow, and I will harvest that. And then I will dry that for the roots soon because it's really, really big. And so that root is going to be really, really deep, which is good. You want that tap root to go as far as it can go. I have two dandelions, one in this bed and one in the bed I just showed you. And before I forget, I have more flowers over here. I have more elephant ears. I found elephant ear bulbs on sale last year for like 75 cents. And I think I grabbed 5 of them. So I just put elephant ears in pots. And so I got elephant ears popping up all over the place. I was surprised because I didn't expect this one to be so far along. This one didn't die back. I covered this up with some fleece last fall, and this one stayed pretty much like it is. It's getting a lot bigger. As you can see, these leaves are getting bigger. These leaves get really, really big. This is the same exact elephant ear that I showed you over in the corner, and I realized there are 3 plants in here now. This was one bulb last year. That's one plant right there. This is plant number 2. Right here, and this is plant number 3, so it is indeed growing. Now these were daffodil bulbs that have already flowered and gone. This beautiful specimen right here is a clematis. It is a, what's the name of it? It's a beautiful white clematis. I have the tag in here. It's called a Henry. It's a Henry clematis. Can you guys see that? That's beautiful, isn't it? I was at the garden center last year at the end of the season, and it might have even been mid-season, and this was burnt to a crisp. You see those little brown, crusty little vines? That's how the entire plant looked, except it had 1 or 2 little beautiful green leaves. They were about ready to throw it in the garbage. And so I asked the lady, can I have it for a whole lot less? I think they were like $20. And she says, yeah, I can't give it to you for free, but I will give it to you at a discount. And look at that beautiful specimen. I had a tomato cage. I put it in the pot, and look at it. It is amazing how it came back from last year. I bought 2 of them. I have another one right here, right next to it, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Look at all those beautiful blooms on there. They're going to open up soon. Just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then I did not know this, but I threw some wildflower seeds. It was a mix. And the only thing that came up out of that mix were these Sweet William. And I tell you, once you have Sweet William, you will always have Sweet William. I have given some of this away several times. And the people that I've given it away to have nothing but good things to say. They say it's absolutely beautiful. It's in the carnation family, and I think it is gorgeous. It makes a beautiful show, absolutely gorgeous. I also found this at a different nursery that I went to last year, and it gets massive. I don't know if you can see, but back here it has found its way into another plant. I need to free it. There we go. It gets really, really big. I'm going to have to probably twist it around and figure it out, but it gets pretty big. I need to take it out of this pot and break it up because I'm sure it's pretty root bound. It has beautiful white flowers as well. This is my white section. I'm gonna have to figure out something to do with this Sweet William because this is my white section right here. But this is called a Mexican petunia. Can you guys see that? And it is beautiful. The flowers are kind of papery. They look amazing when it's in full bloom. Let me put that back in there because I will forget. But yes, this is a beautiful white petaled flower. And this beautiful specimen was a stick. It was a tiny little bitty stick when I got this. This is a wisteria. Now, do not ask me what type of wisteria it is. I know I have a tag for it down there. There it is. Let me see. Let me reach for it. Hang on one second. This sweet William doesn't want me to grab it. Let's see. This is a Amethyst Falls wisteria. And it was the tiniest little stick when I bought it. Hang on one second. Let me get that back in there so I don't lose it, because I learned a new trick on how to make plant labels. So I will be making some plant labels for these here soon. That's why I have the labels still in the pots. But this is a beautiful wisteria. It lasted a lot longer last year in bloom than my neighbors did. I don't know if you guys can see. There's a on the fence all the way down there. There's a flower, the plant. That's a wisteria that's spread out all over that fence. But this is a different variety, and has it blooms a lot longer in the season for me than the traditional wisteria, and it is absolutely beautiful. It came back. I thought it died, but I covered all of this up with a frost blanket, and all of it came back, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I think it is. On the table, I have food. I have onions in this pot, and I found, don't know if you guys can see that, because like I said, I watered a bunch of stuff. I found another tomato in there. That compost of mine didn't kill all the seeds, and I have a tomato growing in my onions. So I'm going to have to figure something out with that tomato. This is a jalapeno. This is a jalapeno that's not supposed to be hot. This is my first attempt at growing Jerusalem artichoke. The leaves died off shortly after I brought it in from outside from in the house, but a YouTuber that I watched told me to just leave it alone. It's resilient, and it should bounce back. This is a Fresno pepper. If anybody knows about the leaves, I put it out the other day, and the carrots are just leaning all over it. And the leaves turn slightly silver. I think it was because of the food I put in it when I potted it up. But this is a Fresno chili. This is a bunch of carrots. As a matter of fact, I think it's the sweet petites. It's the sweet petite. I have a big pot of carrots here. That's a sweet petite. I just watered them because it got really warm today, and the sun just kind of made them rest. But they're all right. I'm gonna remember what that is, and I'm gonna tell you guys. I haven't forgot about it. This is cat grass, and I also have cat mint or something else in there. But this is a cat pot. I have peas over here that I harvested earlier, and I have a tiny little strawberry that I grew, and I highly doubt it's going to do anything. It's actually a lot bigger than what it was, so I know it's growing, but it's a tiny, tiny little strawberry. The rest of them died. I tried to grow strawberry from seed, and all the others died. This, I have garlic. Nope, I take that back. I have ginger in this pot. It's starting to come up, but I think the weather, with it being hot and cold, it doesn't like. Now these sticks, I'm learning something new. A family member of mine has had some fruit trees on their property, and they allowed me to take some cuttings. I think this is apricot, peach, and either plum or nectarine. Now, as I can show you guys, this one has begun to put on leaves, so I know that's alive, and I'm so excited. Now, I have another one in here. I don't know if you guys can see, but this one has leaves as well. Tiny little leaf. I hope it's not gonna die. I don't see any more. Well, no. I don't know if you can see all the way down in there. There's one little green leaf. I'm just keeping the soil moist. This one is not showing me anything, So I don't know if this one is alive, but if I get 2 out of 3, hey, I feel good about those odds. So that's what these are. I am performing a science experiment. I saw a YouTuber that I watch over in the UK was doing this same type of thing, but he just stuck his sticks in the ground and they grew. But I live in a property where I can't do that, so I put them here to see what they look like. I was at a garden center, and I have no idea what this is, but the owner gave me this thing, just threw it in a pot and said, don't bury it in the ground because it'll just take over. It had the most disgusting smell when I bought it, but it's been sitting outside for a while, and this is the first season it's gone through the winter. I thought again it died, but it did not. It came back. So I have no idea what that is, but it likes water. In here I have turmeric. It's alive, but it's not showing anything yet. Over here I have a purple bell and a spinach right back there. I think this is either kale or I forget stuff. I forget what I put. I had a problem with some insects, so I put some diatomaceous earth on the leaves, and a couple of them didn't like it. I also sprayed a little bit of neem oil, so I'm gonna have to take those leaves off. I don't know if this one is going to survive because it's really kind of small and frail, but this one is starting to pick up and it looks good. I'm going to let them duke it out, and whichever one shows me that they want to live is the one I'll keep, and the other one goes bye-bye. But I think it's kale. It's either kale or broccoli. I can't remember. And then this over here, I don't remember what that is. Ah, rosemary. That's what I think that is, but I have no idea because that's not how rosemary should look. I have no idea. But that's what I thought I was planting was rosemary. We'll see. And again, more onions. And even though the sweet petites are in this bucket back there, this is also a bucket of carrots. And I don't want to lift it up too bad because these sweet petites are just kind of laying on top of it. And I don't want to pull the carrots I have in this bucket. I don't want to pull at them. But I have carrots growing in this bucket, and I'm trying to gently get these sweet petites in their own space. They're so rude. There we are. But you can see I have another bucket of carrots that are growing. And this is a mixed batch of carrots in this bucket. It's a kaleidoscope and I don't know, a couple of other different kind of carrots. I just threw some stuff in there to see what would grow. All right, back here I have 2 different heucheras in this pot, as well as some allium that sent up shoots, but it didn't flower, so I don't think it was happy. I have some moss rose that's coming back from last year, and I think the rest of this are just weeds because they are like weeds. I didn't plant that, but I didn't want to pull it out because I began to pull it out, and then I began to tear out my allium, and I didn't want to do that. So I'm just going to leave it be. When the allium dies back, I will pull some of these weeds out because I don't want a pot full of weeds. I really would like to have the heuchera and the allium and the moss rose. This is a mulberry that my coworker gave me. It's 3 branches of mulberry here, and I think they're still alive because they still have green on them. The leaves are still malleable. I tried to regrow that jasmine from the front, but it doesn't seem to be doing very well. So I'm going to toss that and try something else. And this beauty is my Meyer lemon, which I thought died because it did not like being moved in the house over the winter time. It lost all of its leaves. It was nothing but stick. And I chopped it back down really low because when I brought it outside, the limbs went from green to a terrible brown. I don't know if you can see that. And so I just chopped it back really hard due to one of the YouTubers that I watch. And he chopped his back. And so I put it here in the corner to try to keep it from the wind. It's come back with a vengeance. It looks great. I still have to chop off a couple of the other leaves that are, or stems that are brown, that don't have any limbs on them, I will chop those off. I tried to graft on this, but I don't think it took because the limbs are brown. Like, I don't know if you guys can see that. And this is not forgiving. It has thorns on it, and those thorns will grab a hold of you and have you for lunch. Now, this is my dinner that's beginning to wilt. I just harvested these peas and some chives, and this is the lettuce that I took off of that bucket, and I also took some beet leaves. The sun was sitting on that, so I need to get that in the house and get that made up for my salad. These are some calendula and herbs, and I have crocus. Some of my crocus have died back. These crocus that have died back, those were the saffron crocus, and so they've died back. But I've got some stuff poking out. I hope that is an herb. I planted this up with all herb seeds, and so the squirrel got in it and disturbed it, and I can see a couple of little babies popping up. These are calendula. Those are calendula. You can tell by how they look. But I had to cover this up because the squirrels were getting into it. Again, I have another heuchera down here that I had to repot because it didn't like where it was living. It's absolutely beautiful. This also called coral bells, by the way. This is a white lavender. I know you guys probably can't see that, but this is a white lavender that I took some cuttings from, and I'm trying to grow in this pot because the one that was in here from last year died. And this is lamb's ear right there that's coming back from last year. I see a couple of little green babies shooting up. I'm trying cornflower. That's what's in that pot over there. See, I told y'all I would remember. I have 2 pots of cornflower seeds that I have planted. My sister asked me for some cornflower, and there are 2 different types. One is orange and one is like a red. So I potted those up a couple of days ago, and I am going to let those grow, and then I'll take them to my sister. My neighbor down the street has bamboo, and he gave me a clipping, and I've got bamboo growing in that little pot. And the bamboo that you saw right here, this is that bamboo. It grows really, really tall. I mean, like 7 feet tall. And so I'm keeping that alive so that when I do move and get my next property, I will have a section where I can grow my own bamboo stakes like you see there. All the bamboo stakes that you see back here covering up my food forest from the squirrels, it came from my neighbor down the street, and that's the bamboo. Now this is, it'll come to me. I don't know what this is, to be completely honest with you. I put these bulbs in here, and I think they might have been tulips or something, but again, the weather is so crazy, so they didn't come up. They just died back. But I see I have a little bit of green coming up, and I do believe I know what that is. This was given to me by my mom's best friend, called it's some type of rose. I can't think of what it's called. I wrote it on here, and when you use plastic and a Sharpie, it just fades in the sunlight. So I can't remember what kind of rose that is, but my mom's best friend gave me that, and I think it's coming back because I see a tiny little bitty green baby right there. And this is either onion or garlic right there. I didn't label it, so I can't remember. This is that white lavender that I was telling you about that I took clippings off of. And this has beautiful white flowers. It lasted all year long right here. I didn't cover it up. I didn't do anything to it other than to try to make sure that I kept it as hydrated as I could. And as you can see, it's got buds on it. So it really liked its life right there. So I'm going to just leave it right there. There are tulips and a bunch of other flowers in this pot. As you can see, they've died back. This was a free gift last year from a garden center that a garden giveaway that I went to. I got two of these. I think they're called Dusty Millers. I didn't know anything about them, but these puppies get huge because this was in a small little 2-inch pot when I got it, and now it's just spreading halfway across the pot. The rest of these are weeds. I will pull these out, but right now I'm keeping them because they're keeping the soil moist, and I want the soil to be moist. Now here are some pansies that I grew from seed, and I got these seed from Baker Creek. They are large pansies, absolutely beautiful. They smell amazing. In the pot that I showed you a little while ago, same flowers. And I also had some tulips in this pot. They did not put up a head this year, so I don't think I fertilized them as well as I should have. So I'm just leaving them alone. I think I disturbed them too much, didn't feed them enough, and so I'm leaving them be. These are my very first attempt at growing leeks. I used to have 4 of them in there. I only have 3 now. I will be harvesting those, and I will be making some leek and potato soup. I saw a YouTuber make some leek and potato soup the other day, and I probably will do that because it's not a lot of leek, but it was my first attempt. And now we're back at the beginning. So this is my garden. It's my little slice of heaven. I have a front garden and a side garden, but those I can leave for another day. And as soon as I remember what this is, I'll let you guys know. I bought these bulbs from Walmart about a year ago, and they have not bloomed, but they give me plenty of greenery every year, but they have not bloomed. And you can see there is some more coming up right there. Oh, I wish I could remember. Sometimes I forget, but that's okay. I know what it is. It's actually a purple flower. I can't remember, but it'll come to me. So that is my garden. I hope you all enjoyed it. I do apologize if the lighting was awful. I realize now the lighting looks terrible. There we go. I hope it wasn't that way the whole time. But that's my garden. I hope you all liked it. And I also have some seedlings growing in this pot. Let's take a look and see what this pot is. Let's see what's going on here. Excuse my camera skills. I'm not a professional. Oh, look at there. Oh, wow. I think, oh, what did I put in here? I think I forgot what I put in here. Those are flower seeds. I hope they are marigolds because that's what I really want. But I don't remember what I put in here. But I do believe those are marigolds. I had an old bag or an old container of marigold seeds, and so I was spreading them out. So yeah, that's my garden. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you all want to see more from me. I hope this was a good video. I don't know. But if you want to see more, you know what to do. And if you thumbs up and like it, I'll make another video. Bye, YouTube. Be safe out there. Take care.